Okay, here we are live again at the university. We're streaming through Facebook and YouTube. We're at the university where everyone will earn a PhD in the system of racism, white supremacy, where there's no little big I's or little U's, where everyone is a student and a professor. You have the opportunity to learn what racism is and exactly how it works. Excuse me. We're going to get right off into it because we don't have time to waste. So today's topic is racism, white supremacy, with emphasis on images. Images. How racism, white supremacy works through images. We're going to start off like we always start off, giving you the definition of the system of racism, white supremacy. The first definition as racism, white supremacy as a system was written by Mr. Neely Fuller, African American, in the 1950s, 53. He was served during the Korean War period, and he was in Japan, I believe, and he began to write and think about racism. Later came in contact with Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, who expanded upon that definition. And here at the university, we also added to that definition. So we claim this definition as ours, although the original comes from Mr. Neely Fuller, who we must give credit to. We must give credit to him and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. But we won't belabor the point. We're going to start off with the definition that I know 99.9 and 9 tenths of Black people cannot recite. If someone was to say, hey, Joe, you Black people always talking about racism, tell me what racism is in a paragraph and exactly how it works. You'll hear total silence, crickets. That's what you would hear. But if you tune in to the university, this is what you're going to hear. This is the definition. Racism, white supremacy is a worldwide system for the genetic survival of those people that are classified as white. It has patterns of control, speech, thought, system formations, images, language, and action. It operates in 10 areas of human activity: education, entertainment, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and health. This system operates consciously or unconsciously for the genetic survival of those people that are classified as white. Now, we just added consciously or unconsciously. Although Dr. Francis Cress Welsing has always said it, we just added that to our definition. Because why? Because we are still learning. Now, as you heard in the definition, you heard me say uh, one of the patterns of control is images. Images. I said that in the definition. Images. So you can go back and read, listen to it. Images. Now, it's a lot of study or a lot of things that could be said about oppressing people, terrorizing people, and ultimately physically killing them through images. Now, I know most of us, more than our own history, we are familiar with the history of the Semitic people that participate in the Jewish religion. In Germany, there was a man called Joseph Goebbels. He was Minister of Information in the Third Reich. You don't know what that is. Most people just say Hitler. But they had a government. It was the Third Reich. Like you got alt-right now, you had the Third Reich. Joseph Goebbels set out to paint a negative picture, a negative image of Jewish people, or those Semitic people of the Jewish religion. And we will tell you what that is in detail in another lesson. But Joseph Goebbels was Minister of Information. The ultimate goal was to exterminate, I think, 12 million Jewish people. So they just didn't start killing. They just didn't start beating and causing gentrification. Same thing's going on now. They just didn't jump up and start doing that. They first painted a picture of those Semitic people, and you're Semitic too. It only means mix. Most black people don't say Semitic, they say Creole, mix. We say mix. I got a little, most of us say we got a lot of like Indian elements. For some reason, we say that. Uh, so we won't say we all black. But uh, so Semitic means mix. And we have to know the definition of words to understand this system. So, like I said, Semitic means mix. Most black people are mixed. They may not be first generation mixed. President Barack Obama is first generation mixed. That is, his mother is white, his daddy is black. His children are second generation mixed. Now, so you understand that. You can relate that to Semitic. That's what Semitic means, mix. Now, when Joseph Goebbels in the 40s, late 30s, they began to paint a negative picture of Jewish people through their books, through their film, any means possible. They would say they're money hungry, they're greedy, they're stingy. These are things that they were pointing to those Semitic people. These are the things that they had colored them with uh, to make it easier when the time came to kill them. So when the time came to kill them, the negative picture was already painted. Already painted. So they didn't reach 11 or 12 million. They got close. 8 million Jewish people, or excuse me, or Semitic people of the Jewish religion were slaughtered by people painting a negative picture of them. And that is what's going on with us. And you may say, what's the negative picture? When you turn on the TV And you looking at these shows are old now, but when you looking at shows like Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, Power, or any show like thereof, you looking at someone painting a negative image of black people. You take Power, for example. And if you don't know this and you looking at that program, you are being indoctrinated with negative images of black people. Consciously or subconsciously, that's how the system works. And you are consciously or subconsciously thinking negatively about black people if you do not understand the system. For example, Power. Now, here's a program that the father is a drug dealer. He's smart, he's intelligent, he's a businessman. He also owns a couple of clubs, real estate, so forth. But the wife does not want him to leave the drug so-called game. She wants him to stay focused on that. So this is his wife. They have children. The little girl gets slaughtered. They have a son. He shoots the father and begins to sell drugs himself. That's a negative image of a black family. Some of us will think it is just a show. Oh no, it is not just a show. It is programming. So you go to How to Get Away with Murder. The last episode I seen was she was married to a lawyer, top lawyer. She's a lawyer and a professor of law. She was married to a Caucasian fellow. They got into some type of argument, and he told her he knew she was a slut. This is a white man talking to a black sister. He knew that she was a slut. Junior mentions Empire is exactly right. He knew that she was a slut. So we're talking about How to Get Away with Murder. And she grimy, nasty, black, and ugly. And when people say, you black bastard, or you black ugly, the last word is the really weaker one. They really saying being black is bad enough, but that's language. So, so they say that he's calling her all kind of vicious names, and he had rough sex with her, slamming her head against the wall, uh, choking her damn near to death, ripping her underwear off. He said, I knew that's what you were good for, just rough, nasty sex. Now, subconsciously, if not in the front of your mind, you think it's all right to do black women like that. When I say you, I'm talking about us, the majority, in a pejorative sense, I should say, that it is okay because they ain't nothing but some bitches. Because that's what is fed to us on a daily basis. Now, that's two shows. Junior mentioned Empire. I was looking at one of the, and I don't advise you to look at any of these shows until you find out what racism, white supremacy is, because you're being indoctrinated and don't even know it. So I was looking at Empire, and Lucius Lyon, the star of the show, I guess, one of the stars, was in jail. See, when white people see this show, we think that they're seeing business people. They are seeing Planet of the Apes. That's what's going on in their mind. And I know a black man is the producer or the writer or the director or whatever. But black people get paid major amounts of money to confuse other black people. So I was looking at the show. Lucius is in jail for whatever reason, murder or whatever. And they were protesting, no justice, no peace. The same thing we say in the streets. They had Al Sharpton on the show. Well, that only says that white people see him as a gorilla too. They had Don Lemon on the show. The same thing with him. See, those people say, "Ooh, I was on this Hollywood show." That's what they thinking. But what they are not seeing that the people are really calling them gorillas. The system of racism, white supremacy, because it's painting the image. And all of a sudden, I'm looking up in the corner. All of a sudden, they had somebody in a gorilla uniform in a cage jumping around. And I'm saying, what does that have to do with freeing Lucius from jail? They said he was innocent, so they were protesting. How did that gorilla scene get in there? Because the system of racism, white supremacy, has patterns of control and images. And when they see black people, they see gorillas, not in the monkeys and apes, not necessarily in the physical. They are saying behavior. So the person was dancing in a gorilla uniform, it was Cookie Lion. I guarantee you, whatever her, I don't recall her real name right now, but whatever her name is, she could not tell you why she had to dress up in that gorilla uniform. Lee Daniels couldn't tell you, and he wrote the show or directed it. How in the world did Cookie have to, why in the world did Cookie have to put on that gorilla uniform? Well, we at the university know. We know exactly because that's the way the system sees us as gorillas, gorilla-like behavior, subhuman behavior. That's the picture that is being painted. Yeah, Miss Henson, Taja P. Henson. Yeah, AKA, oh, yeah, AKA Cookie, yes. That's the picture. Now, how did that happen? Because of the system has patterns of control and images. Now you know. You don't have to say why on that subject anymore. Because every time you do, why they see us as gorillas? They talking about intelligence, thinking. Why do they always call us monkeys and gorillas? They painting a picture. They did it with LeBron James. We don't remember. LeBron James was on top of the Empire State Building like King Kong with a white woman with his mouth like a gorilla, just like they had in the movie King Kong. And the white policeman in the movie had to come shoot the gorilla. Subconsciously kill black men because all they want to do is rape white women. Now I know some of you are looking at this and saying, "What? How did they get all that out of that?" Well, Dylan Roof. We're still talking about images. It happens consciously or subconsciously. Uh, Dylan Roof. We don't remember him, but he walked inside a church in South Carolina, North Charleston, and executed 9. He said, "I'm going to leave one of you alive so you can go back and tell what I've done." He wrote a manifesto. He said, "All black men want to do is rape our women. So we got to put an end to that. And all blacks want to do is take over the country." These are the images that was in his head from birth. So he went in there and executed 9. And you know what some of the members of those particular, all 9 families were represented in a courtroom to say something to Dylan Roof. First, they just said he forgive them. He replied that he didn't ask for their forgiveness. They cried and they said they hope to see him in heaven. All that. All those are images. And they go across the globe. Anybody that cries how much they love everybody, if you press them, you will find that they don't love everybody. They just saying that. They ain't in love with everybody, especially if you black. They don't love everybody. But I don't hear a lot of white people say. I hear a lot of black people saying that. Images. So we gave you those movies to think about. And while they're painting the image, when they paint an image of you being a gorilla or a non-thinking subhuman savage, now here comes the music. We're talking about images. On the awards, I think they're going to have another awards either tonight or next week, maybe tonight. The NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. I seen an advertisement, and I think they're going to give a guy that refers to himself as 50 cents an award. This is the same guy who's producing the movie Power, that's putting out negative images of black people, especially black men, women too. And the NAACP, if they haven't already did it, they're gonna give him an award for help killing black people. And that may be conscious in their mind or subconscious. It's still in play. He produced and direct Power. Now here's a guy from the street. How in the world does he get to do a movie? Curtis Jackson, yes, thank you. Oh, and it happened last night. Yeah, I said either tonight or they may have already did it. The NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. How are we going to be advanced by somebody saying that we are drug dealers and we will kill our own? The boy killed his daddy. As if I remember the movie, the series Power, and took over the business. Now I haven't watched in a while, so I don't know where it is. I think some rapper lady is, because they keep showing her as an advertisement. And it was a white boy in it named Tommy. I think he got away scot free. But black people end up killing each other, and the son killing the daddy. And Curtis Jackson got a award from the oldest civil rights organization in the world. What images? We're talking about images. Now, very quickly now, because we don't want to hold too long. So we're talking about images. Now, here comes music. And she makes such a good example. That's the only reason why I keep bringing it up. But we could take almost any of them. Megan Thee Stallion and Carly B or whatever. It's on the TV, which goes all the way around the world, showing images of Black people. Now here's Taylor Swift. I think that's her name, the white lady. Remember her, Taylor Swift. Carly B and Megan Thee Stallion gets on TV damn near naked, performing, not performing, but insinuating a sex act between the two of them. Images. Savage beast. Right there on TV. Now the system will take that image, which they did, and circulate it all around the world, and then tell Black women, because one of them, I heard of Black women on a local radio show who somehow she gets a mic and and she says maybe Black people have co-opted the word bitch and made that a term of endearment. And I'm talking about the lady that's on the radio, is embraced. Now, Carly B and Megan Thee Stallion is insinuating a sex act. In the music, they call each other bitches and hoes and motherfuckers and every damn thing else. And this supposed to be all right. And the system will say Megan Thee Stallion is good for young Black girls. They already said it. She is a leader. That's the system. And non-thinking Black people will pick up on that and parrot what the system has just told me. All at the same time. And this happened to play out on the same show. See, to me, it's like God has given us a gift to see racism, white supremacy, and we just saying, God, I don't want to see that. I don't care nothing about that. I don't care nothing about that. So all on the same program, Taylor Swift, she does a music video or music talent also, if you want to call that talent. What Carly B and Megan Thee Stallion displayed. So it's Taylor Swift turn. She's on that program with a dress almost to her ankles. Now remember how Carly B was dressed with no dress. They had on naked clothes. That is, that they had on some little clothes, but they were really naked more than they were clothes. And they were acting like they was having some type of sex act between them, two females, two Black females. And that's supposed to be accepted. And if you speak out against it, they're going to say, you just hating on Carly B. I hate using that word. You just dislike Carly B. She making money. But they showed Taylor Swift. intelligent, had a violin backing her up, and his had clothes on almost to her ankles. Images. They saying one is pure and nice and intelligent, and one is jumping around on stage like a goddamn monkey and naked. Now I know some that well I can't. He too raw. I ain't gonna play this. I ain't gonna even listen to it. I sure ain't gonna play it nowhere. Any time black people do not want to talk about racism, white supremacy, they dislike black people. We're talking about images. So you could see this in the music. We call each other nigger, motherfucker, bitch, hoe, thug. All of these names mean kill black people. And you'll get a black person say, no, that's a term of endearment. It is not a term of endearment. And somebody will say, well, white people, white young people listen to more rap than black. That's the point. Because those same white people, white teenagers, their father may be the vice president or president of Exxon, Mobil, the president of Ford Motor Company. Now you going to apply for a job. Your son, 20 years later, and the young boy who was listening to that music, seeing black people perform like Carly B, perform like Megan Thee Stallion, some male horse, perform like they did on Empire, How to Get Away with Murder. He's looking at all of that. Now he's an adult. Now you sitting across the table from him asking for a job. But he didn't spend most of his life seeing you as a nigga. That you think that's a term of endearment. So guess what he gonna do with your application? Gonna throw it in the trash. So here's a policeman 20 years later. Well, when he was a little boy or a teenager, it won't even be 20 years. When he was a teenager, he heard black people say nigga, hoe, bitch, and it's acceptable. So that's the image that's in his mind, consciously or subconsciously. Now here go your boy crossing the street from the convenience store. The policeman sees him. Somehow shoots him 18 times and said he was in fear of his life. But your boy didn't have a gun. But he ended up getting shot 18 times and left in the street as if he was a dead animal. Now is this becoming clear to you? How images has patterns of control and racism, white supremacy? This is why black people must come to understand racism, white supremacy, and exactly how it works. Because if you do not, just expect more of the same. And in closing, I heard a lady on the radio. She's lifted, not only late, well, I heard a man on the radio, older gentleman. He went to school with my mother, so he's 81. He gets on the radio and says, I don't see color. I, I know either he's confused or he's right out line. Or he's probably, either one is horrible. I don't get off in the colors. Yeah, that's why good people. I mean, sound like we just ripped him from a Step and Fetch It movie. And he's put up as a leader. Nevertheless, he says he doesn't see color. He's on the radio that goes all the way around the world because everything is connected. We didn't, Junior something else. It goes all the way around the world. And he says that, of course, remember he said he don't see color. This is how confused black people are. All in the same breath. He begins to tell us being a radio audience, he's a preacher too, how his friend gave him $1,000. Like, wow, $1,000. Like that's $1 billion. He just sent me 1,000, and I'm not exaggerating. Just sent me $1,000. And then he went on to say, he from West Texas, a white friend of mine. Well, I thought he didn't see color. If you do not come, I should say we, Mr. Nellie Fuller made this statement. If we do not come to understand racism, white supremacy, and exactly how it works, everything, absolutely everything that we think we know will thoroughly confuse us. And it is true. And then when confusion comes, then it is wide open. Anything can happen. We can be on TV, on the radio, getting paid billions of dollars, millions of dollars, almost a billionaire. Now we got paid so much for calling black people niggas and saying on the rap music how I want to shoot a nigga, how I want to F a bitch. And this has brought me millions. But black entertainers gets paid millions of dollars to help black people stay confused. Just like, and we're out of here, we're closing. Just like in a time when it was illegal for black people to read. Because if you learn how to read, you will begin to think and you will understand that it's not supposed to be this way. Well, the system of racism, white supremacy don't want you to think. So they'll put somebody in front of you that says black people need to be shot. And that's a black person saying it. They're saying it through their music. They're saying it through the TV shows they put on TV. And they'll give him an award from the oldest organizations in the world. And pump him up full and put him in front of black people and tell us this is the one that you should follow. Okay, brothers, sisters, thank you for attending the class. We want to thank Junior and OG1. You see him as Reginald Gordon down here. He has a program that you all could look up. And if you need, you can look him up on Facebook. You can also Google him, I believe, but most definitely on Facebook if you want somebody to come speak to your youngsters, girls, females, or males, giving them direction on how to stay out of the penitentiary because they want them in a penitentiary. Reginald Garden is your man. Okay, 2 weeks from now, we'll be here again. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work. And please share, subscribe, and like, and make sure others get this message. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and sisters.